In this video, we're going to talk about how to actually use PyCharm and GitHub on your computers. Before watching this tutorial, you should have already installed Git, Python, and PyCharm. So we're going to talk about 5 different things in this tutorial. The first is going to be the general idea of GitHub repositories. Then we're going to go through the different steps we need to go through when working on an assignment using PyCharm and GitHub. So the first question you probably have is, what is a repository? This is a word you are probably not familiar with. Think of a repository as basically a group of files for a single project. So in this course, you're going to have a single repository for every coding assignment that we do. So for every lab, every programming assignment, and for some homeworks. So you can think of it essentially as just a folder for that project, and that folder of files is actually saved onto the internet in your GitHub account. It's only visible to you and to the instructors of the course. To start an assignment in this class, you will generally need to first create your repository. For whatever repository you need to create, there will be a link somewhere on the Moodle page. So this is true for labs, this is true for programming assignments, this is also true for the class examples repository you'll need to create for the tutorial. In this case, the class examples repository link is right here under general resources on Moodle, though this may change depending on your instructor and the semester in which you are watching this video. To create a repository, what you will need to do is follow the link for creating it. This will take you to the classroom.github.com assignment that your instructor has set up. Whatever the name of your particular GitHub classroom is will be up here in the corner. In this case, this is the Fall 18 CS151 section taught by Dr. Olson. This may be different, and that's okay for your particular course. You will see the name of the assignment you will be creating, in this case, class examples, and you will see the name of the repository that will be created for you. This will be the name of the assignment followed by your username. My username is UMassHockey, and therefore that is following the class examples in the name. You also again see the classroom that it's for. All you need to do to create your version of this repository, and you only need to do this once for every assignment, is to click the Accept This Assignment button. After you have clicked that button, it will create a repository that includes whatever code or starting files the instructor has created for that repository for your course. You can view this repository on the GitHub website by following the link that is shown here. This is what a repository looks like in GitHub. You see the name of the repository at the top. In this case, it's class examples-UMassHockey. Then you see any of the files that exist within the repository. In this case, the README file is empty. It only shows the name of the repository. And then there's a gettingstarted.txt file that is also currently empty. As you edit your files, which we will soon learn how to do in PyCharm, the contents within the files and even the number of files in this repository will change. So let's talk about how to start an assignment in PyCharm. So the first thing that you will need to do, of course, is open PyCharm. When you've opened PyCharm, assuming you have not opened or created projects in PyCharm yet on this computer, you should see this splash screen. From this splash screen, you will want to click on Checkout from Version Control and then click on Git. Assuming you already set up PyCharm to work correctly with your GitHub account and Git, which if you haven't done, you should follow the Setting Up PyCharm video first before continuing in this one. You will be able to use the drop-down menu here to see all of your GitHub repositories. Click on the drop-down menu to see them. You will probably have many fewer repositories than what I am seeing right now. The repository that you want to find for this tutorial is the one that has the name of your GitHub classroom. So in this case, it's F18 CS151-Olson, but that may be different depending on your semester and your instructor. Then class examples dash your username. This is the one that you just created a little bit earlier in this video. After clicking on that repository, you will see that the directory where it is being saved will now have the name of that repository after it. So this is creating a folder within that directory on your computer where all of your files will be stored. Note where this directory is. In my case, it's in my user directory and my documents folder, but you may have a different directory. Once you have set both of these things up, you will want to hit clone. By cloning, you are creating a copy of all the files in the GitHub repository on this particular computer. Because we do want to edit this repository, we will click Yes. We are now in PyCharm. You may receive a tooltip dialog box with a tip of the day. You can go ahead and hit close on that to see this particular view. Over on the side, you will see your list of open projects. We only have one project open, and that is the class examples-username, in my case, class examples-UMass Hokie. The steps we just saw for checking out for version control is if you actually see that splash screen when you open up PyCharm. If you currently have a project open in PyCharm, you will actually open to this type of view with whatever project you have open over on the side. If that happens and you need to open a new project from Git, then what you will actually do is you will go to the menu up at the top called VCS. This stands for Version Control System. You will click on that, and then you will go down to Git, and then you will go down to Clone. Then you see the same dialog box that we saw before. So you have the directory where everything will be saved into, and then you have the set of projects that you'd like to pull from. All the steps after that are the same. At some point when editing in your repository, you may see this particular dialog box. It is asking if you would like to add a file to Git that it is finding in your folder but is not in Git. In this case, what it is asking to add is something called vcs.xml. You never want to add this to Git. This is a set of settings for this particular computer in PyCharm. If you add this to Git, you're going to have a lot of problems editing your files from one computer to another. So again, always hit no. Okay, in general, if you are asked if you want to do something on a computer, you should always think very carefully if you want to hit yes or no, because quite often the default is yes, but what you actually want to hit is no. In this case, you do in fact want to always hit no. If you are seeing this right now and you want to make sure that you never forget how to do this again, click on Remember, Don't Ask Again, and hit No. So how do we work on an assignment after we have gotten the repository from GitHub? This is called cloning the assignment. The main way we are going to be editing our files is in PyCharm. So if you close PyCharm while we have been talking, you will want to go ahead and reopen it. So again, we will see our project over on the side. To edit any file that already exists within our repository, we can merely double-click on it over on the sidebar. For the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to be editing gettingstarted.txt. So we double click on it, it opens up in the main editing area. You'll notice that there's currently nothing in this file. For the tutorial, we are just asking that you add some kind of sentence to the file. It does not matter what it is that you write here, although do keep in mind that your instructor will be reading it. After you have put it there, you can save it, hitting Control S or Command S, depending on which operating system you are using. This file has now been edited on your particular computer, but it has not been edited on the GitHub repository. So you can see it on your computer, but your instructor cannot yet see it. You also can actually view this file from elsewhere on your computer. So remember, this is saved somewhere, and you can see next to the name of it where that is. In my case, that's document/classexamples-UMass Hokie. So I can click on my Finder window, and in my Documents folder, I have that folder, class examples UMass Hokie, and if I open that up, I can see my two files there. If I double click on getting started.txt, since it's a txt file, it will open up in a text editor, and I can see the changes that I just made to the file. This is one way you can double check that the files are correct on your computer, or if something weird happens that would be easier to fix outside of PyCharm. In general, you will not need to open files on your computer in this way, but it's just good to know that it's an option. So now we've made changes to our file, we've saved it on our computer, but how do we actually save our work to GitHub? So to turn in your assignments and also to save your work for later, you need to set it up to GitHub. So basically anytime you're done working on your project, whether it's for 10 minutes, it's for an hour, it's for another day, you don't know when you're going to look at it again, or it's time to turn it in, you need to save it to GitHub. Just saving it on your computer is not really good enough. So saving it to GitHub is going to let you look at it on another machine. So if you are working on your laptop and then you have time before class and you want to work on it in the lab and you don't have your laptop with you, you can just pull it up through GitHub, just like we did to get it initially on this computer. To save your work to GitHub, you need to do something called committing and pushing. To do this in PyCharm, you can go to the VCS menu and then click on the commit option. In this dialog box, you will see the files that have been updated. So in this case, the only file we've updated is getting started.txt. We'll also see some unversioned files, and these are all things we do not want to add to GitHub. So this is good that we are seeing them here in red, because these are the ones that we clicked no to earlier when we talked about that warning. Down at the bottom, you will see what the file used to look like and what it looks like now. So we can see in green, we are adding something to the file. As your files start to get more complicated, you may see red for things you've deleted and green for things you've added. You always want to add some sort of commit message in this middle box. This will make it easier for you to later see on GitHub what changes you made for different versions. We'll talk about this later in class. For now, I'm going to put added a sentence for the tutorial. Now at the bottom, the blue button is what you want to click, but if you only hit commit, it still will not put it on GitHub. It will only commit the changes to Git on your local computer. So what you will generally want to do instead is click the drop-down menu and click on commit and push. So you want to do both of those. After you've clicked commit and push, you will now see the push dialog box. This will show you your git commit message on the side, and it will also show any files that you have edited, added, or deleted. In this case, we've only edited a single file. To complete all of this and make sure it ends up on github.com, we now just hit push. Down at the bottom, you may see it say pushing for a while until it finishes, and then you should see push successful. You can just hit X to close that dialog. It can be good whenever you're turning in an assignment to check and make sure it actually made it on to GitHub, because again, that's the only way your instructors will be able to see it. To do that, you can go to github.com and sign in if you're not already signed in. Under repositories, you will see all the repositories you have access to. So right now you should have very few things here. For the class examples, that's one of the first things I see here is I see class examples -UMass Hokie. So I can click on that repository that I just edited. Now when I go here, I actually see my commit message that I just put in to PyCharm, added a sentence for the tutorial. If I click on getting started.txt, I will see that that sentence is now there. So that means that my commit and push was successful, and therefore my instructor can see my edited file in my GitHub repository. This is how that I know it works. Okay, last but not least. So if you are committing and pushing your changes as you keep working on an assignment, you will want to go through the right process when you're ready to work on the assignment again later. Let's say we closed our project, maybe worked on other projects in PyCharm, and now we want to go back to our class examples repository. Because we've already checked it out from version control once, we do not need to, nor do we want to check it out again. Instead, we can click it over on this sidebar here that shows us our open projects. Alternatively, if we've deleted this sidebar, we can use the open folder to then find it on our computer. After we've opened it, we'll see it exactly as we last left it off. However, before we ever work on a project that we have previously opened, whether it's still open in PyCharm or we need to open it again as we just did, we always want to make sure we pull changes down from github.com. This will allow us to get changes that we made from another computer that we committed and pushed, or if the instructor has added files for us, it allows us to get those files. In the event of a group project, such as a lab, it will allow us to get any files that were edited by our lab mate on a different computer, or any files that we worked on together on a different computer. This will make our lives a lot easier. Easiest way to do this is to go up here to this nice little Git box, and we see the blue down arrow. So we are pulling things down from the internet. The tooltip says Update Project. So we want to click on this button. It will give us a number of different options for updating our project if this is the first time that we've done this. I recommend clicking on Merge to make sure it does the right thing. You can keep it using Stash, and then you can click Do Not Show This dialog in the future so you don't have to worry about this ever again, and click OK. Now it will be updating. And we see that our file changed. So since I last worked on this project, I edited this file on another computer. So now I see another line in my getting started.txt file. If I created other files, those would also show up in my project over on the side. So remember, before you continue working on a project, you always want to make sure you pull down from GitHub to make sure you're using the most recent version of the files in your repository. Also remember that you never need to clone from Git for a second time on a computer for a particular project. You just need to reopen the one that you edited before. Later on in the semester, we'll talk about more advanced things that we will need to do with GitHub and PyCharm, but this is enough to get you started for now.